Hi everyone, I'm just a friendly can of Coke. Everybody loves me, especially morbidly obese people and alcoholics. I go great with cheap rye. I used to sing a beautiful song about unity and love back in the old days. It was such an inspiring song that it made people feel good about drinking sugar-filled poison. It went like this. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. I sure did love that song. But then I read White Fragility by Robin Diangelo and realized it's all bullshit. Now here at Coke, we're all about identitarianism and crackpot racial theories. So I rewrote the song. It goes like this. I'd like to teach the world to judge on racial ancestry. I'd like to buy the world a Coke, and the Soviet Union wasn't real communism. It doesn't rhyme anymore, but rhyming is colonialism. Just ask Robin Diangelo. Everything is. So here at Coca-Cola, we just want you to be less white. We also want you to buy Coca-Cola products. No problems there, right, bigot? Hey, welcome in. Well, all that woke stuff, that's just a bunch of kids in the universities. Just a bunch of crazy kids. You know, they'll get out and they'll grow out of it. Well, they didn't. Apparently, they went and got jobs, important jobs at Coca-Cola and every other important company and institution in the Western world. So here's the headline. Lost their marbles. Backlash hits Coca-Cola after accusations of anti-white agenda. Company denies be less white, quote unquote, be less white. Training materials are part of its learning curriculum. Except that's not true. It actually is, and they say as much while pretending to say the opposite. Let's see. On Friday, a psychologist who describes herself on Twitter as former Democrat, unwoke activist, accidental commentator, posted screenshots from an alleged whistleblower at Coca-Cola. And you see Dr. Carolyn B., and she actually, I believe she was part of a knitting club that got all woke, and that's what kind of was her recognition that when it's affecting like knitting clubs or the online knitting community, maybe things have gone too far. But in any case, she put out this tweet, and she shows images from an internal whistleblower. Just going to interrupt for 1 second to say, if you like this content, subscribe so you can see more. Thanks a lot. So this is from Coca-Cola is forcing employees to complete online training, telling them to try to be less white. These are images from an internal whistleblower, confronting racism, understanding what it means to be white, challenging what it means to be racist. And you have to understand, white now is not even just a skin color. Now it's just anything that's anti-woke is now considered white. Anti-woke is capitalist, individualistic, pro-free speech, pro-individual freedom, pro basically being reasonable, right? That's what it is now. That's why you have what they call multiracial whiteness. I've done videos on that, where you don't have to be white anymore, apparently. You just have to have the wrong ideas. So let's see. To be less white is to be less oppressive. You really can't make this up. You can't. Be less arrogant. Okay? So right off the bat here, being white is being oppressive and arrogant. Okay? Be less certain. Okay? Be less defensive. Be less ignorant. Be more humble. Listen, believe, break with apathy, break with white solidarity. This is insanity. This is Coca-Cola, okay? Believe. This is the central thing here. Just believe, okay? Also, don't be arrogant and be humble and just believe. Just believe what they are telling you. Don't question it. Be less ignorant. Unless you believe their crazy, insane, crackpot racial theories and just explicit communist ideas, you're ignorant, apparently. Okay. This is coming from a corporation, a giant corporation, Coca-Cola. How does this happen? In the U.S. and other Western nations, white people are socialized to feel as if they are inherently superior because they are white. This is an absolute inversion of the truth. I mean, it's obvious to anybody who's paying attention, is it not? It's what they always seem to do, is just they're screaming in a mirror. That's it. And they don't even recognize themselves. It's incredible. But in any case, any sane person living in Western nations realizes this is not happening. White people are not being socialized to feel they are inherently superior. Quite the opposite, in fact. Here's one. Try to be less white. Confronting racism with Robin Diangelo. Yeah, she's made a lot of money race grifting, actually, that Robin Diangelo. But what does this mean, try to be less white? What they really mean by this, actually, is don't disagree with us on anything. Just listen to us and agree with us on everything. Do not be an individual. Just do what you are told. That's what they mean by this. And you wonder, I mean, how does this happen in a corporation? I mean, obviously, this taken to its fulfillment, these ideas are going to be bad for capitalist companies, right? I think it's that, again, these crazy ideas have gotten out of the universities. They've gone, people have been hired because they've had Ivy League degrees and all the qualifications that would have been considered to be a good thing in the past, right? And now they're in there. And I think there's a calculation that's made that it's easier just to kind of humor them, and maybe that's how it's seen, is humoring them with this stuff, than to actually confront them on it and fire them, because they're going to create such a stink. They're going to target this company for boycotts and all that sort of thing. Because, of course, social media, the mainstream media, is going to be on the side of whoever the biggest lunatic is, right? As long as it's left-wing. So I think a lot of these corporations have gotten themselves into a bit of a jam, unless they just, the people right at the top, the CEOs, the people running these companies, unless they actually really do believe this stuff, in which case they're doomed. The only thing that regular people can do is just simply make it more painful for them to embrace this stuff. And how do you do that? You just don't give them your money. You just stop giving them your money. And whatever is the scenario in which the company makes the most money, given, two choices, they're going to take the one in which they make more money. At least you'd think they would. Even that I have to question these days. I mean, if this stuff really is at the top of the companies, then they're just brainwashed. They're not going to act rationally. But in any case, I'm not giving my money to these kinds of people. Let's see. This Carolyn B., she says here in the tweet, for people asking to verify this, the course is publicly available on LinkedIn. And there's a link there. You can see for yourself the Coca-Cola icon is in the top right-hand corner on some of the images because they're using LinkedIn content for their internal platform. So what does Coca-Cola have to say about this? They say the video circulating on social media is from a publicly available LinkedIn learning series and is not a focus of our company's curriculum. Our Better Together Global Learning Curriculum is part of a learning plan to help build an inclusive workplace. That doesn't sound very inclusive to me, the stuff that we've seen so far. The training includes access to a LinkedIn learning on a variety of topics, including on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We will continue to refine this curriculum. So it is. They are using this as part of it. I mean, they've just been caught red-handed. Here's a response from a former GOP Texas congressional candidate, Joshua Foxworth. He said, if your congressman does nothing when Coca-Cola tells its employees to, quote, try to be less white, but would rush to any available mic if this was said about any other race, that's right, just replace white with a different color, see what happens. Can it truly be said that they represent every American in their district or just the ones the media allows? And obviously, no, this is just straight up racist. This is incredibly divisive. If the goal is to divide everybody up into identity groups, this stuff is going to work. This stuff is going to work. The frankly amazing amount of progress that's been made on these kinds of on issues of race in the West, are just being completely it's just being completely dismantled. It's just being thrown in the trash bin. It almost seems like the modern left wants conflict, wants friction between groups based on identity. Doesn't it seem as if that's kind of the goal of all of this? I mean, if this isn't demonization of a group based on immutable characteristics, I don't know what else is. I mean, it is true that underneath all of this, it's really just about Marxist theory. That is obvious, right? Because, and again, they're bringing out new ideas like multiracial whiteness that prove this, right? That fundamentally, what they're really about is Marxism, and an opposition to Enlightenment values like individualism and objectivity and reasoning, and that race is a wedge that they use to shame and to force people into just uncritically accepting their terrible, terrible ideas. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Please subscribe, like, and share. That really helps me out. If you'd just like to listen, there's the podcast Radio Baloney. It's on pretty much every platform. If you look for it, you will find it. Thank you very much. I will see you next time.